This is how I made part 1 to my demo beat. So the first thing I did was come over to the channel rack and open up Omnisphere. I used a patch called a Walk of Fame lead and routed it to mixer number 1. From here I came to the piano roll and inputted A sharp, F and C. I thought these notes worked very well, and together they sound like this. The Omnisphere preset patch, however, does have an extra layer to the synth, but I didn't like this and I did turn it off. This is what it does sound like, however, with this extra synth. But I did turn it off as I do like my beats quite atmospheric, and I thought this sounded a bit too harsh. I do think that sounds a lot better. I routed it to mixer track number 1. I turned the audio separation to 100%, which separates it in the headphones, which makes it sound a bit more spacey, a bit more dreamy, and a bit more easy on the ears. I added a fruity parametric EQ, and I took it to about 100 Hz and put the about -20 decibels just to get rid of the lows, as I do like my 808 to have this section of the EQ. I did another EQ and took down a harsh sound which occurred around 1540 Hz. I also minus this by about -10 decibels. I then came over to Nexus, put it to mixer number 2, and added a piano which sounds like this. A very simple piano, and I did think to reverse it just before I made the piano, so I was going to use this as a reverse. I reversed the piano, exported it, and this is what the reverse piano sounds like. The effects I have on the piano are a fruity parametric EQ, again to let the 808 have this part of the EQ, and a fruity reverb. I turned the size up to about 50, I turned the difference to 100, I put the high cut around 4000 Hz, and put the low cut around 75 Hz. I put the dry up to 100%, I put the early reflection level up to 100%, and I put the wet level to 60%, and I turned the decay to 1.5 seconds. I also separated this as well, just to give it that more atmospheric, wide sound, and this is what the melody and reverse piano sound like together. The second thing I did was work on the drums. I added a simple Pierre-Bourne clap which sounds like this. Which occurs on every half bar, so it would be 1.5, 2.5, 3.5 and 4.5. I then added a Let It Go 808 which played the notes of A sharp, F and E. This is what the Let It Go 808 sounds like. The effects I used on the 808 were a fruity parametric EQ, again to give this bit of the EQ just to the 808. I also added another EQ which boosted the lows and boosted the mid loads around 46 and 136 Hz, as this does make the 808 hit a little bit harder. Without the EQ, the 808 sounds like this. With the EQ, the 808 sounds like this. It gives it that more distorted feel which I like in my beats, which tend to be suited for emo rappers. Fruity soft clip I also added. I put the threshold to -4.4 decibels and about 0.6. I put the post gain to 83%. I added a fruity limiter, turned the attack down, put the release to about 248 milliseconds and put the sustain to 1 millisecond. I then sidechained this to the kick. The kick is in mixer channel number 6, and I added a soft clipper to the kick. The kick sounds like this. I then with a sidechain, I came over to the sidechain toggle here and put it to 1. I turned the threshold to -8.1 and 0.39, turned the knee to 71% 1%, sorry, and turn the comp ratio to 1, 1 and 0. I did think this gave the kick and the 808 space to work with each other, as the side chain does let the kick come through but also lets the 808 play with the kick. It just doesn't sound as muddy, so that's why I use a side chain. I also then added a hi-hat, which is a basic 2-step hi-hat with some stutters. The beginning is a triplet, and then it goes into a 2-step with a stutter here and a stutter here. I then added a triangle sound, which sounds like this. For the triangle, I turn the attack up, the attack down, sorry, put the hold across and turn the release off, as I felt if I let the triangle play too far, it would drag out and bleed into the mix, which I didn't like very much, so I did turn the release off. Altogether, the beat sounds like this. I then added an intro to the beat. For this, I came over to the master pitch and I put the maximum at 50, which is the normal sense, which is 0 cents, which is what the normal mix should sound like. I then put the minimum to minus 12,000 hertz, as I thought minus 12,000 hertz, as I thought a nice gradual income would be nice. So a nice, not income, sorry, a nice gradual approach to the beat would be nice. It goes from minus 12,000 hertz, which is minus 12,000 cents, sorry, which is an octave down, so it goes from an octave down to the normal pitch range. So this sounds like this. As you can see, the master pitch wheel up here is increasing up until the 9th bar, where it should revert to normal pitch. I then added a photo effect here and a money roll effect here. I added some stutters throughout the song, which sounds like this. I thought this gives the beat a unique feel and doesn't make it sound repetitive as much. I also added some breaks in the structure of laying out the beat, and I added some pauses and some places where the drums were removed, some places where the 808 was removed, just to give the beat a more kind of engaging feel, as it didn't get boring. For the end, I automated the volume from 100 to 0 and added a low pass filter. On the overall mixer, I added a soft clipper just to give that beat so it didn't sound too loud, didn't sound too muddy, didn't sound too, in your face. I also added a Fruity Love filter with a volume of 100%, a cutoff envelope of about 58%, a cutoff frequency of 45%, and a resonance bandwidth of about 60%. I did also make this in a phasing preset, so it phases through the beat, as I felt like without a phaser it did sound very kind of muddy and too harsh, but this is what this sounds like. Here's where I automated the volume, and this is what the ending sounds like. Also with the mixer, I added Maximus to get rid of the harsh sounds. I added an audio editor track to make sure the 808 didn't bleed, and I added a fruity parametric EQ as an example of what the to you of what the whole scale of the EQ looks like. This is what it looks like. So here you have the lows, here you have the highs, and here you have the melody. As you can see, the mid-range isn't pushing through as much as the lows and highs, as I do like to leave that kind of open for an artist to use, as I think more complex beats are harder to flow on, as it just sounds too intense and there's too much going on, and it almost makes you want to take a step back and say, I don't know what's going on here. And I do like it when it's quite simple and nice to listen to, as I think this could have the potential to be a very good song. I also reverse the polarity, as I do this with all my mixes, as I like the polarity reverse on my ears, and it sounds very nice. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm about to move on to part 2.